Here's something that's going to bother a lot of you. Every time you look at a woman and whisper to yourself, "She's out of my league," you are not paying her a compliment. You are not being humble. You are not being realistic. What you're actually doing is making two devastating mistakes at the same time. First, you're announcing that you've already surrendered before the game even started. And second, and this is the part nobody talks about, you're reducing an entire human being to a ranking on a scale she never agreed to be measured on. That's not admiration. That's cowardice dressed up as modesty. And I know that stings. I know some of you are already shaking your heads. But stay with me for the next 15 minutes, because I'm about to dismantle one of the most toxic beliefs in modern dating, the idea that human beings exist in tiers, and that some people are simply too valuable for you to approach. What I'm about to share isn't motivational fluff. It's the uncomfortable machinery behind why you keep losing before you ever begin. And by the end of this, you'll have to decide, do you keep hiding behind this lie, or do you finally step into the arena?
Welcome back to Love and Logic, the space where we dissect relationships with honesty, depth, and zero hand-holding. Whether you're navigating the dating world, rebuilding after heartbreak, or trying to level up emotionally, you're in the right place. I'm Olivia. Let's start with the lie, the big, comfortable, socially acceptable lie that almost everybody believes. Some people are just in different leagues. You've heard it 1,000 times. You've probably said it yourself. It sounds reasonable, right? Almost logical. She's stunning, successful, well-connected, and you're still figuring things out. So naturally, she belongs on one shelf and you belong on another. Different product categories, different price points. And that right there is the problem. You've turned dating into a marketplace. You've assigned yourself a value, assigned her a higher one, and then accepted the gap as permanent reality. You treat attraction like an auction where the highest bidder wins. And since you've already decided you can't afford her, you don't even raise your hand. Here's what nobody tells you about this marketplace mentality. It only works in one direction, downward. Nobody who believes in leagues ever ranks themselves above someone else and walks away proudly. The league system only exists to talk you out of going after what you want. It's never empowering. It's always limiting. It's a ceiling you installed in your own mind and then complained about the low roof. And the most dangerous part? Society reinforces it every single day. Every comment section under a couple's photo, every reaction from your friends when you mention who you're interested in, every movie that tells you the regular guy doesn't get the extraordinary woman unless something magical intervenes. But magic isn't what's missing from your love life. Courage is.
So, let's define what we're really talking about when someone says, "out of my league." Most people think it means she's more physically attractive. And sure, that's part of it. But if you scratch beneath the surface, the league concept reaches much deeper. It could mean she's wealthier, more educated, more socially connected, has a bigger following, comes from a more prestigious family, carries herself with a confidence that makes your knees buckle. But here's the question nobody asks. Who created these categories? Who decided that physical beauty outranks emotional depth? Who wrote the rule that says a master's degree makes someone a superior romantic partner? Who established the law that says her social media presence determines whether you're allowed to introduce yourself? You did. Or more accurately, a version of you that was conditioned by comparison culture, advertising, and years of unexamined assumptions about what makes a person valuable. Here's the harsh truth. Leagues are not a measurement of compatibility. They're a measurement of your insecurity. The bigger the gap you perceive between yourself and someone else, the the louder your insecurity is screaming. That gap isn't real, but the fear behind it, that is very real, and that's what we actually need to address.
Let me paint a picture for you, and pay close attention because you might recognize yourself in it. There's a man. Let's call him Daniel. Daniel sees a woman at a networking event. She's sharp, well-dressed, articulate, and every head in the room turns when she walks past. Daniel is immediately drawn to her. Not just her appearance, her energy, her confidence, the way she commands space without demanding it. But instead of walking over, Daniel freezes. His internal dialogue starts its familiar spiral. She probably has guys way better than me approaching her every day. Look at what she's wearing. She's clearly in a different tax bracket. If I go over there and she shuts me down, everyone in this room will see it happen. So Daniel does what millions of men do every single day. He watches from across the room. He makes eye contact once, looks away, and spends the rest of the night regretting that he didn't say a single word. Now here's the part of the story that Daniel will never know. That woman, she noticed him too. She thought he looked genuine, approachable, different from the polished, overconfident types who usually hit on her with rehearsed lines and transparent agendas. She actually waited for him to come over. He never did. And this is where most people get it completely wrong. You think the tragedy is that she was out of his league. The real tragedy? He was exactly what she was looking for, and his own belief system disqualified him before she ever got the chance to decide for herself. Now, let me flip this entirely and give you a perspective you've probably never once considered. What does it actually feel like to be the woman who keeps getting labeled out of everyone's league? Most men assume it must be amazing. Constant attention, endless options, the power of choice. But here's what they never see. That pedestal you put her on, it's one of the loneliest places in the world. Think about it carefully. When every man who approaches her either crumbles under his own insecurity or performs some exaggerated version of confidence to match her perceived level, she never gets to experience something genuine. She gets performances. She gets transactions. She gets men who want the version of her they invented inside their own heads, not the actual woman sitting in front of them. Nobody wants to admit this, but many conventionally attractive, accomplished women struggle deeply with genuine connection. Not because they're too picky, but because the men around them are too busy being intimidated or performative to simply be human. She doesn't want you to worship her. She doesn't want you to put on a show. She doesn't want you to level up just to match some imaginary standard you manufactured in your own mind. She wants you to look her in the eye and see a real person, not a category, not a ranking, not a conquest. And the man who can actually do that, he doesn't need to be in her league. He's already in a league of his own, because authenticity has no competition. Let's go under the hood now, because this isn't just about dating. It's about how your brain has been systematically wired to self-sabotage. There's a concept in psychology called the scarcity mindset. It's the deep-rooted belief that valuable resources, in this case, desirable partners, are limited, and that you're unlikely to access them because you simply don't have enough to offer. This mindset triggers anxiety, obsessive comparison, and ultimately complete withdrawal. You don't approach because your brain has already calculated the odds and declared defeat before you took a single step. But here's the fundamental flaw in that calculation. Attraction doesn't follow the same rules as economics. It's not a supply and demand equation. A woman doesn't select a partner the way a hiring manager reviews resumes. Emotional connection, timing, energy, humor, physical presence, these things cannot be quantified on a spreadsheet. Yet they account for the vast majority of what actually creates real attraction between two people. Then there's the social comparison trap. Your brain is constantly, relentlessly measuring you against other people. particularly in environments where status is visible. Social media, professional settings, even casual social gatherings. And every single time you compare yourself to someone you perceive as above you, your brain releases a stress response. Cortisol rises, confidence drops, your body language shifts without your permission. You become physically smaller, shoulders round inward, voice drops to a murmur, eye contact becomes apologetic rather than grounded. And she notices, not because she's judging you, but because human beings are biologically hardwired to detect incongruence. When your words say, "I'm confident," but your body screams, "I don't belong here," she feels that disconnect instantly. And disconnect kills attraction faster than anything else.
There's another layer here that goes even deeper, and it might be the most important thing I say in this entire video. For many men, the belief that she's out of your league isn't actually a problem. It's a solution to a much scarier problem, the risk of being truly seen, being genuinely vulnerable, and being openly rejected. Think about it carefully. If you've already decided she's unattainable, you never have to try. And if you never try, you never fail. And if you never fail, your ego stays perfectly intact. It's a beautiful, airtight defense mechanism, elegant even. Your brain isn't trying to hurt you, it's trying to protect you. But the protection it offers comes at a devastating cost. You never experience what could have been. This is what psychologists call ego-preserving behavior. You construct a narrative that keeps your self-image safe from damage. I didn't get rejected. I simply never approached because she was clearly out of my league. It sounds reasonable, dignified even, mature. But underneath that dignified exterior is a man who was too afraid to risk discovering that maybe, just maybe, he was enough all along. And that fear, that's not about her. That's entirely about you. Hard truth number 1, and I need you to sit with this one for a moment before you react. The league system is not a reflection of reality. It's a sophisticated excuse mechanism that allows you to avoid discomfort while feeling intellectually justified in your avoidance. When you say, "she's out of my league," what you're really saying is, "I'd rather preserve my comfort zone than risk the possibility of rejection." And look, that's a valid human impulse. It's natural, but it's not a strategy. It's not a plan. It's emotional avoidance wearing a logical mask. Here's the test. Look at every couple you know, your parents, your friends, random couples on the street. How many of them are perfectly matched according to the league system? How many of them look at each other and think, "Yes, this is my exact tier"? Almost none, because real relationships aren't formed inside tidy categories. They're formed in messy, unpredictable, beautifully chaotic moments where two imperfect people decide to stop performing and start connecting. The league system only survives because people keep feeding it with their belief. Stop feeding it. It starves without your participation. Hard truth number 2, and this is one the self-improvement gurus don't want you to hear. Attraction is not a ladder you climb. It's a frequency you tune into. I've sat across from hundreds of couples over the years, all different backgrounds, different appearances, different income levels, different everything. And I can tell you with absolute certainty that the couples who last aren't the ones who matched on paper. They're the ones who matched in energy. There's a man who's average in every conventional metric: average height, average job, average face. But when he speaks, the entire room leans in. His eye contact is steady and warm. His humor is sharp but kind. His emotional presence is undeniable. He's not performing confidence, he inhabits it. And the woman sitting across from him, the one who supposedly could have anyone, chose him, not because he earned enough points on some invisible scorecard, but because when she's with him, she feels something she doesn't feel with the men who supposedly outrank him. That something? It's presence. It's emotional safety. It's the rare and extraordinary experience of being genuinely seen rather than evaluated. You can't fake that. You can't buy it. You can't gym your way into it. You have to build it from the inside out. And that requires a completely different kind of work than most men are willing to do. Hard truth number 3. And this might be the most controversial thing I say today. The self-improvement industry has sold men a dangerous half-truth. Want a better woman? Become a better man. Hit the gym, make more money, dress sharper, level up. And on the surface, there's absolutely nothing wrong with any of that. Growth is good. Ambition is attractive. Taking care of yourself matters. But here's the part they conveniently leave out. If the only reason you're improving is to qualify for someone else's attention, you haven't actually grown. You've just built a better costume. Real growth isn't external renovation. It's internal excavation. It's asking yourself why you feel inadequate in the first place. It's confronting the childhood wound that taught you love has to be earned rather than freely shared. It's developing the emotional vocabulary to express what you actually feel without drowning in it or running from it. The man who goes to the gym because he respects his own body attracts differently than the man who goes to the gym because he's trying to become worthy of a specific woman. Same action, same weights, same sweat. Completely different energy. And women, especially perceptive, emotionally intelligent women, can tell the difference in under 30 seconds. Hard truth number 4. And this is the one most men flat out refuse to accept. She isn't ranking you. You're ranking yourself. That woman you think is out of your league, she's not sitting there running calculations about whether you meet her minimum requirements. She's not comparing your salary to the last man who approached her. She's not measuring your jawline against some evolutionary ideal. What she is doing, consciously or subconsciously, is feeling. Does this man make me feel safe? Does he make me laugh without trying too hard? Do I feel respected around him? Can I be myself? Actually myself? Or do I have to put on an act? Is there genuine warmth here, or just strategy? Those are the questions that actually determine whether she gives you a real chance, not your net worth, not your follower count, not the car you drove to get there. And here's the devastating irony. By obsessing over whether you're in her league, you've already failed her actual test. Because the test was never about your credentials, it was about your presence. And you were so busy calculating your inadequacy that you forgot to actually be present.
So, what does the man who actually succeeds in this dynamic look like? Let me describe him, because he's probably nothing like what you'd expect. He doesn't walk into a room and rank every woman on a scale. He walks in curious, open, genuinely interested in people as human beings, not as prospects to acquire. When he sees a woman he finds attractive, he doesn't spiral into a comparison loop. He acknowledges the attraction, he accepts the nerves, because yes, they're still there, and he moves forward anyway. Not with a pickup strategy, not with a rehearsed opener, just with honest interest and calm, grounded energy. He doesn't pedestal her, he doesn't shrink around her. He treats her the way he treats everyone else, with respect, genuine attention, and zero desperation. He asks real questions. He actually listens to the answers. He's comfortable sitting in silence without filling it with nervous chatter. And when it doesn't work out, because sometimes it genuinely won't, he doesn't interpret it as confirmation that he wasn't good enough. He understands that rejection is redirection, not condemnation. His identity isn't chained to the outcome of a single interaction. This man doesn't believe in leagues, not because he's delusional about differences between people, but because he stopped using those differences as barriers and started seeing them as texture, part of the rich, complicated, beautiful landscape of human connection.
So here's my challenge to you, and I want you to be brutally, painfully honest with yourself for the next 60 seconds. How many opportunities have you surrendered because of a story you told yourself? How many conversations never happened because you decided, without a single shred of evidence, that you weren't enough? How many women never got to experience what you actually bring to the table because you pulled yourself out of the running before the race even started? Can you do that? Or is the comfort of the excuse more important to you than the possibility of genuine connection? That's the only question that matters right now. Now, I already know this video hit different for a lot of you. Some of you are fired up right now, feeling seen for the first time. Some of you are defensive because I challenged something you've held on to for years. And some of you are sitting in a quiet moment of uncomfortable recognition because something I said today described your exact pattern with uncomfortable accuracy. Whatever you're feeling right now, I want to hear it. Drop a comment below. Tell me honestly, have you ever talked yourself out of approaching someone because you believed they were out of your league? And looking back now, do you think that belief was protecting you, or was it paralyzing you? Don't give me the answer you think sounds good. Give me the real one. And if you know a man who needs to hear this today, a friend, a brother, someone who keeps selling himself short and calling it realism, send him this video right now. Sometimes the message that changes your life doesn't come from within. It comes from someone who cared enough to hit share. Subscribe if you want more conversations like this, because I promise you, we are just getting started. And what's coming next is going to make this video look gentle. I'll see you there.